My final question has to do with Ethereum. EIP 1559 is launching in a day or two. By the time this interview airs, it'll be launched. What are your thoughts on EIP 1559?
I just wrote an article about this, and I called it the greatest trade in the world.
Please go on.
So you're getting the scoop in Global Macro Investor, my kind of institutional research product. This setup is absolutely brilliant. So the chart pattern was this lovely wedge in Ethereum. The Ethereum chart is following the Bitcoin 2017 chart, which would give it an upside projection of 20,000. Back to that.
You heard it. Raoul Pal saying Ethereum has an upside of 20,000 because of the setup. Welcome to the channel, by the way. Daily Crypto Bull here to update you with the daily news, the daily updates, and help you make as much money in crypto as possible. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get at it. So Raoul Pal, if you don't know who he is, he's a global macro investor, but he's very big in the crypto space, and he's one of the leading authorities that people really listen to, really watch for his thinking on where crypto is going to go, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the first time I heard him say that he thinks Ethereum can get to 20 grand, I was like, no way. Because if you crunch the numbers on the market cap there, that would put Ethereum at about 2 trillion. But you know what? But the time frame he's talking about there is leading up to ETH 2.0. Which, when I think about it like that, is actually very possible, because when ETH 2.0 comes out, not so much when it comes out, but leading up to it, more and more Ethereum keeps getting locked, keeps getting staked, which means it gets locked in to a staking protocol, so it can't be removed. So the supply of Ethereum keeps getting taken off the market, and the most basic investor knows supply and demand basically equals value. And if the demand doesn't even change, which the demand for Ethereum is going up, but let's say it didn't even change, the available supply keeps going down because of two reasons. It keeps getting locked into the Ethereum 2.0 pool, which that Ethereum cannot be touched by anybody until Ethereum 2.0 comes out. When will that be? Hopefully next year. And because of EIP 1559, which just happened on August 5th, the incoming of new supply of Ethereum is significantly diminished. So that supply-demand ratio, that demand, even if it just stays the same, even though right now the demand's going up, let's say it just stays the same, the supply keeps going, well, technically it keeps going up, technically. But compared to the demand, it's nothing, because the supply of new Ethereum is drastically reduced. And more Ethereum just gets getting taken off exchanges and putting it in hard wallets and staking pools. So the supply demand is just ready for a bubble burst. Let's take a look at the charts here of Ethereum. Last night yesterday we busted just above 3,200. We got to 32 about 03. And that was at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And then late last night, early this morning, 6 in the morning Pacific Standard Time, we busted above 3,200 again, but this time got all the way up to 3,230. Unfortunately, I lost my trade on that one, because before I went to sleep, which was somewhere around here, I said, you know what? If Ethereum goes above 3,200 again, I expect a fast correction to the downside. Now, so I set a sell order at 3,203 with my stop loss at 3,215. I figured that would be enough. And then I set my take profits, in the 31s. But Ethereum came on a little more bullish than even I thought, and it went all the way up to 3230, stopped me out, but went down like I thought it would after that. Because this is a very important resistance point we're hitting right now, is this 3200 mark, but we keep nudging above it. So what's going to happen here when we look at the indicators down here, we're on the 1 hour time chart. Things look a little bearish to me, but I can't go crazy on that. Let's go to the 30-minute time frame. This is TradingView that I'm using, by the way. money is flowing. We had a bottom here. These green dots indicate a bottom, and it's been climbing up since. Slowly. It seems about 3130, 3140 seems to be a resistance point that we have. And that's where Ethereum is. Let's take a look at Bitcoin today on the 30-minute chart. Of course, Bitcoin busted to, let me pull up the 1 hour again. Almost hit that 47,000 mark. Got well above 40, got up to about 46.7 something again. Let's go to that again. Nah. So lots of good bullish behavior going on. We see the money flow. The green is the money flow. We see it kind of changing over into the red a bit. So we do have some flowing down. But here we printed a bottom right here. And it seems to be moving up. So we'll see what happens. Because it just seems as we zoom out, you can see, this goes all the way back to August 1st. Yeah, it came down. It had a nice run up here to about 42.5, which is a strong resistance point for Bitcoin. And then it had a retracement, a correction all the way down to 37, about 37.3. And then, we printed this nice dot down here. And you can see the money flow going from red to green about right here. And then ba-boom, going up. But the money flow to me seems to be changing a bit again. I do expect a correction, but then I expect us to go back up. But we'll see. Let's dive into some news. Of course, we got to talk about the Bitcoin supply. What do I mean by Bitcoin supply? Of course, there will only ever be 21 million ever Bitcoin. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the amount available. And that's what we keep talking about with the supply and the demand, because the demand for Bitcoin, the demand for Ethereum, the demand for crypto just keeps going up. But the supply is actually going down because of the two reasons I'm talking about. People, it's just not available because a lot of people that own Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't interested in selling. They actually take it off of exchanges and just put it in their own hardware wallets, or they have it on the exchanges and they have no plan on selling it anyways. They're just storing it there as their wallet. And the flow of new Ethereum in particular coming into the market is significantly decreased ever since the hard fork happened on August 5th. Now, Bitcoin has been going with this for a while. Let's see what they talk about here. We're talking about the supply squeeze. Demand for an absolutely scarce, inelastic monetary asset, which is Bitcoin, continues to increase. Demand going up. But supply is getting pulled off the market at a feverish pace, and this is not new. But the price, they're saying, isn't reacting. Now, it is reacting some, but what they're really saying is it is not matching the price going up. The reaction is not matching the dwindling supply, especially compared to the increasing demand. So what they're saying is the pressure is building and get ready for a breakout. I still believe, and lots of indicators show this to me, and it just makes a lot of sense. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to reach all-time highs. So Bitcoin's going to go above 65,000. Ethereum's going to go above 4,400. I think good chance Bitcoin gets to 100, even 120,000. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think Ethereum could make its way to 10 grand. That's right. I know. Can you imagine? In this bull run, this year, and I'm talking not even this year, like if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen by the end of September based on previous data, based on new data, based on the cycles of these things. Anyways, let's go back to this. Bitcoin daily chart looks ripe for a monster breakout with a lot of hot air above the 43,000 level. And if we go back to the chart, look at that 43,000 support right there. You see this? Important support level. In particular, 42.5 because of this wick down here. This wick right here. 42.5 seems to be a very strong support for Bitcoin. I think right now we could go back down to that, but I think it's more likely that we probably go more to like 44, 44.5 before we bounce back up. So it's hard for me to place a short during such a bullish market, but I'm just trying to make my little scalps, as they're called. Speaking of supply, I'm going to show you how much Ethereum has been burned since August 5th, which is only 5 days. We'll get into that in a second. We'll do the daily check. But on-chain volume for Bitcoin tells a similar story, with little resistance above the 43,000 level. What they're talking about here is if we rewind, let's go to the daily. So each candle represents a day. You see that here's 43. There's not a massive amount of resistance bringing us up to the previous all-time high of about 65,000, right? We have here 43. Maybe you could argue 47.5, maybe a little bit here at 50. There will be resistance at 50. But that's what we're saying is between 43 and 50, there's just not a ton of resistance. And I tend to agree with Bitcoin Magazine here. Anyways, with a massive wall of UTXO distribution below, they got a chart in here, following the months of accumulation in the range of 30,000 to 40,000 accumulation, which is what I was doing, which is what I was recommending to you guys to do. Not financial advice, none of this. I'm not a financial advisor, make your own decisions, etc. But I was buying in the 30,000 range constantly. Bitcoin in the 30, Ethereum in the low 2s, even the 1918s when it got down there. Bitcoin has very strong support, and it would likely take a large meltdown in global equity markets for Bitcoin to break the range low, fall below 29,000. And I agree with that. I do think when this all settles down, quite a ways away, I mean probably next year, like this time next year, I think Bitcoin could get below the 20,000 mark as we are deep into the bear market. But right now we're still in the bull market, and I expect Bitcoin to go 6 figures, above 100,000. Here's that chart, the UTXO chart, talking about realized price and closing price in these price ranges here. But plotted below is the price of Bitcoin, the percentage of circulating supply not on exchanges, and the amount is illiquid. So we'll show this in a second. Very important. The derivative market bearishness, so derivative market would be like shorts and longs, stuff like that, is like, in futures, is like trying to fight gravity when the supply side is squeezed so hard as it currently is. Listen, guys. We've been waiting for this. We've been expecting this bull market to start in mid-late July, and that's exactly when it took off. And now I expect it to nail 100,000 by the end of September. So ride it out. I mean, not financial advice. I'm writing it out. That is for damn sure. As we get to 100,000, which I think we will, then I'll be thinking about selling, but only in mind to buy more Bitcoin and Ethereum when it goes down, so I can just accumulate more, because that's my goal. Accumulate, because I expect Bitcoin and Ethereum to basically go up forever. At least the rest of my life. With the way Bitcoin trades, it is entirely possible for all-time highs to be made in short order, as in over the next month or two. I completely agree, because of exactly the supply and demand. The supply squeeze in particular compared to the demand. Bitcoin price action is reflexive in bull markets as higher price increases demand, driving price even further. Higher prices increase demand, driving price even further, right? As the price goes up, more and more demand for it. Not the smartest thing. Now, I'm not necessarily buying a bunch of Bitcoin right now. I was accumulating in the 30s. Buying. Ethereum in the sub 2500s. Ideally low, like 2,000 to 2,200 or less. I accumulated a ton because I knew this was going to go back up. And I knew that regardless, even if it didn't, that's a really good deal because it's at half price of their all-time highs, which was just, in May. So I know I'm long-term on this stuff. On to the next article. This one's really important too. Be sure to smash that like button. Big problem. Not big problem, but is a big problem if you were part of this. More than $600 million stolen in Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies, marking one of crypto's biggest hacks ever. I actually think it's the biggest hack ever in my memory anyways. Hackers allegedly breached blockchain-based platform Poly Network, which, yes, is Polygon. The token is Matic. And extracted more than 600 million in cryptocurrencies today. Big problem. Over 2,800 Ethereum tokens worth about 267 million, 6,600 Binance coin worth over 250 million, and roughly 85 million in USDC tokens, which are $1 a piece. on the Polygon network, because there are DeFi platforms on the Polygon network. I think the biggest one is QuickSwap, which is where, if you remember the Iron Titan thing crash that happened, that thing, if you remember that at all, which I was in that, I lost my money. Oh, lesson learned. Didn't lose a lot, I only lost a few $100. But that was on QuickSwap. That's a Polygon, a DeFi platform. So 604 million, making it even bigger than the 460 million hack on cryptocurrency exchange Mt. Gox. In terms of hacks, I can't remember a hack being bigger than 600 million. I could be wrong, though. Either way, it's significant. Anyways, they've identified the attacker's email, IP address, and device fingerprints and are working on additional identity clues. Hopefully, they can catch these people. Hopefully, they can catch them. So you got to be careful with your money. This doesn't really scare me much. I don't know which 103 billion. That's the current market value of all decentralized finance. So that's all the money locked up in DeFi platforms like Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap, QuickSwap. They're always named Swap, right? DinoSwap. This is according to CoinGecko too, so I feel like it's pretty accurate. And I expect this number to just climb over time. Over the years, just climb. I mean, last summer, this number was so much smaller than this last summer, a year ago. It was like, I remember when we hit, I remember when we hit a few billion, I was like, wow. And now we got up to 150 billion as the top. Let's check how much Ethereum has been burned so far. We're over 23,000 Ethereum burned since EIP 1559, that London hard fork on Ethereum. Again, this is what I'm talking about with the supply and the demand moving in the bull's favor, because the demand right now is increasing because the price is going up, and when prices are going up, demand increases. And the supply, more and more Ethereum is getting locked into Ethereum 2.0 staking pools, which means they cannot, those coins cannot move until Ethereum 2.0 happens, which at earliest will happen next year. And the incoming supply of new Ethereum is significantly decreased because of the burning that's happening. Poised for breakout, not to mention, like we're talking about, the Bitcoin, good old Bitcoin, the supply squeeze, right? Because just less and less people want to sell their dang Bitcoin, so there's just less and less to buy, but the demand keeps going up. So what I would say, accumulate. This is not financial advice, this is my opinion. Accumulate, and watch for Ethereum to get to 10,000. Watch for Bitcoin to get to 100,000 plus. I know, that sounds nuts, but I'm talking about by the end of September. And as you see in this article, they're going through data, this article, about the supply and demand squeeze that's happening. The pressure is just building. The demand is going up, the supply is going down, and it's just a matter of time before there is a bust. It's an earthquake, because that's what an earthquake is. It's pressure that builds up over time, over plates, and eventually something has to give, and a big movement happens. That's what we got going on right now in Bitcoin and Ethereum especially, but that's going to drive up the entire crypto market. So I'm a fan of altcoins too, because altcoins usually lag. Bitcoin and Ethereum go up first, and then altcoins start taking off. So you usually have some time. But when you see, because we saw actually a nice jump in, say, Cardano today, went up a good 5 to 8% just like that. Finally had a little bit of a breakout. But that's what I got for you today. Stay bullish, my friends. Stay classy too. You're awesome. See you tomorrow.